What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to be looking at the NFL standings through Week 12. Without further ado, we'll start with the AFC South. Currently, Tennessee holds first place in this division, followed by Indianapolis, who has been gaining ground recently, and then Houston and Jacksonville sit tied for last. So let's start by discussing the Tennessee Titans. And oh my goodness, this team is having problems. They really miss Derrick Henry. It is apparent, it shows, and they're just hoping that Derrick Henry can come back in time for the playoffs at this point. The optimistic viewpoint is that he will be back in time for Week 16, but to me that seems overly optimistic. This team, though, they've just been struggling. Of course, it's not just Derrick Henry that they're missing. They are missing Julio Jones. They are missing A.J. Brown now. So this offense isn't what we thought it was going to be. At least they still have Tannehill, but they've just been committing so many turnovers at this point. So there's concerns right now. They just got humiliated by the Patriots. There's definitely concerns on the Titans, with the Titans. Then you got Indianapolis. So Indianapolis started off the year cold, and they have been kind of bouncing around since then. Now, the Colts' problem, to me, is their receiving core. Now, they have a solid receiving core, but T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, these guys aren't staying healthy. They're not contributing at the level that you'd hope they would when they're on the field. Carson Wentz can do a lot, but as we know, he's a big injury risk, so the Colts are going to kind of take it easy with him. But when you're talking about the Colts, they have Jonathan Taylor. Taylor had himself a game Week 11 where he scored 5 total touchdowns. I believe it was 4 rushing, 1 receiving. Could be wrong on that. But, oh man, Jonathan Taylor, he is filling the void that Derrick Henry left when he got hurt. He is definitely the best, I'd say, pound-for-pound running back right now in the game, especially since McCaffrey's done for the year now too. So, don't want to jinx him, but Jonathan Taylor, great year. He's looking like he could get Offensive Player of the Year, all things considered. The Houston Texans continue to struggle. Now, Tyrod Taylor had a good start to the year for them, but since then, it hasn't been positive since he returned from injury. Davis Mills definitely wasn't the answer. Houston, I think at this point, you got to hope Deshaun Watson comes back, but he's not coming back to this team. They definitely, there's just so many questions with the Texans. You look at the offense, there's no one. You look at the defense, there's not a lot of pieces. This is a team that's going to continue to struggle for years to come. You hate to see it, you hate to say it, but that's where they are. They dug themselves in this hole. Bill O'Brien, definitely big mistake. You're going to be looking back at this 20 years from now, and you're going to say, why did we even hire this guy to start off? Jacksonville, there's still problems with Jacksonville too. I mean, Urban Meyer, I don't know what to say about him as a head coach in the NFL. I think he's going to, if he continues to struggle like this, he could be gone after the 2022 season, but that's in the future, not right now. The contract is pretty big for him. Still, Trevor Lawrence is really starting to struggle a bit. He is not the quarterback that we thought he could be. He's really kind of, okay, to put it bluntly, in the NFL. There's definitely concerns with that for his long-term future. Speaking of long-term, we still have to wait for Travis Etienne to come back. Obviously, that'll be in 2022 at the earliest. Fingers crossed he's back in time. But the injury that he suffered is one that can be a career alterer, so that's never good. On the defensive side of the ball, at least their defensive line is pretty solid. I mean, Josh Allen is looking like a future star. He is a star, but he's looking like he can be a future superstar, I should say. Next, we have the AFC North. Baltimore currently leads this division. Cincinnati closing the gap on them. Pittsburgh sits at exactly 500, as does Cleveland. So this is going to be an interesting division. We have to start off by discussing the Ravens. Now, Lamar Jackson is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But he's not your stereotypical pocket passing quarterback. As we all know, he's a good running quarterback. Oh, Lamar Jackson is a great player. Honestly, it's fun to watch him play. Now, their running game outside of Lamar still hasn't been the best, but that's just due to injuries. Their receiving game, Hollywood Brown is doing great so far. As well as he can do with Lamar Jackson throwing him the ball. Same with Mark Andrews. The line's holding their own. The defense is somewhat recovering from a rough start. There's still some questions on defense, but they are at least rebounding. So, Cincinnati, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting the Bengals to be here right now. If the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs. I'm liking the Bengals. They're a young, talented team. I still think they would like Penei Sewell, but again, Ja'Marr Chase has just continued to prove me wrong. He has regressed a little bit in the past few weeks, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. Joe Burrow is looking like a definite franchise-saving quarterback. Of course, it's too early to say that. We are only in the second year, but we'll have to see what happens. Joe Burrow is definitely proving to be a good player, though. Pittsburgh, that tie to Detroit is still super ugly. If Detroit goes 0-16-1, that's going to be a massive blemish on the Steelers. It's just simple as that. Roethlisberger, I say it every time, he's gone, he's done. You got to move on from him at this point. I don't know why they still have him as the team's quarterback. He has to go after the 2021 season. But, at least your receiving core is still doing decent. Earlier in the day, we had a report come out with Juju and Mike Tomlin, or not Juju, sorry, Claypool and Mike Tomlin kind of going at one another. Claypool kind of wants them to play music in the practice, and Tomlin's like, oh, well, he's a receiver. Let him do his thing. He should focus on being a receiver. That's not a good thing to say. I mean, he kind of put him in a tough spot. It kind of makes me think that Tomlin might be losing the locker room. The fact that Juju's done for the year, too, doesn't help him, but he's been out for a while. Still, I have some concerns with this team. Definitely. And then you got Cleveland. Cleveland's another team I have a lot of concerns with. I mean, Baker's playing hurt. We know that. We knew that for a while now. And it's starting to show. Odell's gone, so at least that's gone. At least, that head case is gone. But still, you should be better than 6-6. You should be 8-4. You should be 7-5. You made it to the AFC Championship game last year. You almost beat Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game last year. You would have gotten yourself out of that loser group of 4 that has never made a Super Bowl. But I regress. Cleveland, you've been through enough. I don't want to keep going after you. Defensively, though, you're there. The offense is what's hurting you. And I get it. There have been a ton of injuries on offense. But at least you got Hunt back now. So there's that. Question mark? AFC West. Kansas City is in first place. And then everyone else, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos, are all tied at 6-5. So this is the only division, I believe, in football where every team is above 500. So that in and of itself is impressive. You gotta respect that. Kansas City started off a bit rocky. They've had some rocky moments this year, but they are figuring it out. They are coming off a bye now, but they're winning games in weird ways. Like they played the Cowboys and they beat the Cowboys, but they didn't massacre them. It was a low-scoring game, a surprisingly low-scoring game. This defense is still the Achilles heel of the Kansas City Chiefs, no doubt about it. But at least Mahomes, he had a good game week 10 against the Raiders. So there's that. They got going for them. But now you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire back as well. He did okay in week 11. Fingers crossed he can continue to develop. Tyreek, Travis Kelce, still two of the best weapons in football. The Los Angeles Chargers are definitely trending in the wrong direction. Now, I think it has to do with Justin Herbert's hand. He's still hurt. I think he's definitely showing it. The passing game isn't there. Keenan Allen's still doing well, but Mike Williams is not. So there's problems right off the bat with that. The running game, Austin Eckler is still one of the better running backs in the game. I was dead wrong on him. I was skeptical on him going into the season. He's proven me wrong. Happy to see it. I like Eckler as a player. But on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they're still dealing with some injuries. Asante Samuel Jr., though, I do want to give him a shout-out. He's been doing much better than I was thinking he would do as a rookie. I really wanted the Eagles to draft him. I'm rooting for nothing but success for Samuel Jr. Las Vegas is still trending in the wrong direction, but they're hanging above 500, so you got to give them credit. This is a team that's been through so much this season. If they can finish the year at or above 500, I got nothing but respect for them. Well, they can't finish at unless they tie, but you know what I mean. So the Raiders, obviously, this is a team that had to cut both of their 2020 first-round picks for off-field concerns. They had to fire their coach. So they've just been through so much this year. There's still a lot of concerns with the Raiders, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, but at least Carr's been looking respectable enough as a quarterback. I don't want to say great, but respectable as a quarterback. So there's that. And the receiving core, I mean, Hunter Renfrow has stepped up since Henry Ruggs unfortunately left the team, but still, he's no superstar. He's no wide receiver one. This is a team that might be one or two players away from a potential deep run in the playoffs. Denver, Denver is one of the hardest teams to get a sign on. I don't know what to say about the Broncos, honestly. They go and they demolish the Cowboys, but then they get killed by the Eagles. And it's mind-boggling to watch this team. Now that they have Jerry Jeudy back from injury, it kind of makes the situation even more weird because you still have Cortland Sutton, you still have Noah Fant, you still have a strong offense, but there's so many mouths to feed and Bridgewater isn't really feeding them. Drew Lock, frankly, isn't that much better. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Broncos. Trading away Von Miller, I should say, is definitely a tough one for the fan base, but it was for the right. I mean, you got 2 day 2 picks for him. Can't blame you for doing that. Good move by Denver, but still, this is a team that I think is going to fall off soon enough. Then we have the AFC East. So right now, we have the New England Patriots, who are in first. Buffalo Bills sit in second. Miami Dolphins sit in third. New York Jets sit in fourth. New England is one of the hottest teams in football right now. Mac Jones is looking like the best rookie. He looks like he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year this year. Could be wrong on that, but he is just such a good passer. He's on pace to break Dak Prescott's record for a rookie completion percentage for a QB, which is huge. That's exactly what we were hoping you'd get in him. He doesn't offer much of mobility, but I mean, since when has Bill Belichick had a mobile quarterback? Honestly. If this team had James White, they'd be that much better. But Damian Harris, despite dealing with injuries, is doing good. Stevenson, the other running back, is doing good when he's called on. So they're doing exactly what the Patriots are normal with doing. They have a bunch of different mouths to feed. Offensively, Jacoby Myers is definitely looking like a wide receiver 1 stud. They still have their 2 strong tight end duo of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So this team is definitely trending up. Their defense is a great collection of players that are starting to gel at the right time. So this is a team that can and will make a run if you let them. This upcoming game against the Buffalo Bills, who we're going to talk about now, is crucial. Buffalo is trending in the wrong direction, and they did just lose Tre'Davious White for the year to a torn ACL. That isn't good. Now, on the flip side, on the offensive side of the ball, Josh Allen is doing good. Stephon Diggs is doing good. You're getting a lot out of Dawson Knox. There were questions about Knox entering the season. A lot of people were questioning him as a tight end 1. He's kind of putting that to rest. He's doing good right now. But the running game, now Zach Moss has been a healthy scratch recently. That's not good. So now they're relying on Singleton and Breida. This running game looked like it was going to start off the year strong. Zach Moss was looking great. They have really regressed of late. So that's not good. From your starter to a healthy scratch for Zach Moss, never a good sign. But outside of that, their defense is still good, but the loss of Tre'Davious White is gigantic. It's going to be extremely tough for them to replace him. So I don't know how Buffalo's going to do. And now we go from a downward spiraling team to a team that's red hot right now. 4-game winning streak, Miami Dolphins. Tua looks to be the answer. He is doing everything you wanted him to do if you're a Dolphins fan. He is starting to run a little bit more, but he's just sparking the offense. This is something that you didn't have with Jacoby Brissett. This is something that Dolphins fans haven't seen for a while. They are getting good quarterback play. Tua is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the game right now. This for the past couple weeks. I don't mean overall. Just for how he's been playing. He's not going to get the stats, but he's just doing everything he can do. He's helping to guide the team. He's helping to spark the offense. So they're trending in the right direction. Now, if they had Will Fuller back from his injury, they'd be in a better spot. But right now, Jalen Waddle has been one of the best receivers these past couple weeks. He's been amazing. He had a great game in Week 12. He had, I think, 7 catches for 100-something yards on a TD. He's running the ball periodically. So this team is ready to go. The defense is starting to click. The Dolphins are a team that realistically, no NFL team has ever made the playoffs after starting 1-7. Miami has a shot. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they have a shot. The New York Jets are another team that's just, they're not there yet. Zach Wilson, obviously dealing with an injury early on in the season, his rookie season, not good. He is back, but the Jets offense has just been so hard to peg and figure out. I don't know what's going on. Now their backup, Joe Flacco, is currently dealing with a certain illness, and then they still have Mike White. So it's so tough to figure out the Jets right now. And then you have to focus on their weapons too. I mean, Corey Davis currently hurt, could be back though. We don't know. So it's so tough to figure out this team. Michael Carter was looking like he was becoming the featured back, then he got hurt in Week 11 against Dolphins. It's so hard to figure out the Jets. Defensively, they are kind of regressing, but they're still a solid defense. Now we have the NFC South. Tampa Bay is the only team above 500 in this division, but Atlanta and New Orleans are right with each other, and Carolina is only a half game behind them. Tampa Bay is a good team. I mean, there are so many mouths to feed for the Bucs. I don't even need to list them all. You know who they are. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. I mean, Scotty Miller doesn't even get used because there are so many mouths to feed. Gronk. Of course, Leonard Fournette just went off. So you know all these players. And you have Brady at quarterback. If their secondary can get healthy, this Buccaneers team will make another run to repeat as Super Bowl champions, which would be huge. Brady has already cemented himself as the greatest of all time. Imagine if he can lead his team to another Super Bowl ring. He'd be just putting more padding on it. It's just, at this point, you can't even debate it. So, Tampa Bay looks like they're going to be sailing into the playoffs, all things considered. No pun intended. Then you got Atlanta. Now, Atlanta has a head-to-head tiebreaker over New Orleans, thus they're ahead of them in the standings. And they're actually close to the playoffs, but not there. Atlanta is a team that's tough to peg too. I mean, this is a team that's been humiliated by Dallas, humiliated by Philly, but then they win the close games. And that's something that you kind of want if you're a team. Because it's more, if you keep winning close games, your morale goes up. Now, Matt Ryan, he seems to be trending towards the wrong side of his career. I don't know if that hand injury we saw is affecting him. Granted, it was his non-throwing hand, but still, the running game is suspect. I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson has definitely made himself one of the better players in the league right now. I'm kind of surprised with how good he's been doing too, but you never know. Defensively, this team has a lot of question marks. Offensively, we're still waiting for the return of Calvin Ridley, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen anytime soon. So, yeah. New Orleans, now it sounds like they're going to try Taysom Hill for Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys. So there's that. But it's going to be tough to figure out. I don't know what's going on with their quarterback room. They still have Trevor Siemian that they're working on. So they definitely miss Jameis Winston. That's for sure. Simple as that. I mean, they definitely miss Drew Brees too. So I don't know what's going on with this team. Running game, Alvin Kamara's missed a few games. He hopefully will be back. We don't know if he will be. If he isn't, his backup was out last week. They got humiliated on Thanksgiving. So I don't know what's going on with the Saints. Defensively, they're not the best, though. Simple as that. Carolina, like I said earlier, lost CMC. He's out for the year. They put him on the IR with an ankle injury. Second stint on the IR means your season's automatically over. Never a positive. So, yeah, Cam's back, but Cam did not have a great showing. He got benched against the Dolphins. So, yeah. I don't know what's going on with the QB room. You still have Darnold, but it's a brutal team to figure out. Defensively, meh. Offensively, you do have DJ Moore, who's at least still doing good. Next, we go to the NFC North. Green Bay is the only team above 500 here. Minnesota, close enough, fighting for a playoff spot. Chicago behind them. And then you got the winless Lions still. So, Green Bay Packers, this is Aaron Rodgers' team. He is dealing with a toe injury. It sounds like he's not going to be getting surgery on that toe. So, there's that, at least not yet. But still, Aaron Jones still dealing with an injury. Hopefully, he'll be back sooner rather than later. But Devontae Adams has been great. A.J. Dillon's been a solid replacement for Aaron Jones, too. Not the best, but still, the defense isn't exactly, elite, but they're still good enough. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. Could be worse, could be better. But I'm excited to see Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs once more. Minnesota, oh boy, this is a tough team. Justin Jefferson is this team's best player. There's no denying it outside of maybe Dalvin Cook. But Cook's been dealing with injuries. Now he's out for at least 2 weeks with a dislocated shoulder. Never a positive. I don't know what's going on with the Vikings. I mean, I don't think Kirk Cousins is the answer. I think that he's gone after this year. I could be wrong on that. Maybe Kellen Mond will get himself some appearances here and there, but we'll have to see what happens with the Vikings. Their defense is still not great. So, Chicago, I mean, Justin Fields has been turning it around of late, but he's still not great. There are still concerns with Justin Fields. And if you're a Bears fan, that was kind of expected. You kind of knew at this point, all right, Justin Fields thrust into the rookie job, starting job as a rookie, never good, rushed into it. He started off cold, now he's rebounding. So that's at least a positive. But outside of Fields, I mean, Allen Robinson, even when he's playing, he's kind of been a bit of a non-factor for the Bears. At least you got Mooney now, but still, I'm not excited about that if I'm a Bears fan. The running game hasn't been the best, so I'm not too excited. The defense, I mean, Khalil Mack is done for the year, but outside of him, there's just a lot of question marks for the Bears. Detroit, do you really want me to talk about the Lions that much? I mean, they're giving me the 16-1 vibes. They do play some close games, but it's getting ugly. Jared Goff, not the answer at QB. I think at this point it's pretty obvious. Granted, Tim Boyle isn't the answer either, but it's kind of brutal watching Lions football. It kind of feels like a punishment to watch them play. That's all I have to say about the Lions. It's been tough. It's been tough. You do have Hawkinson, you do have Swift, but now Swift is hurt, so it's just been brutal. NFC West, you have the Arizona Cardinals leading the way. Los Angeles Rams are kind of closing in on them, but they're actually more fading, I should say. San Francisco is closing in on the Rams. Seattle is in last. Arizona has been playing well despite not really having Kyler Murray for the past couple weeks. When Kyler is back and fully healthy, this is a team that's going to be trending up. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. When they have Hopkins back and fully healthy, they're going to continue to play well. Christian Kirk is doing well. The running game, they got a very strong 1-2 punch there. Now Edmonds is hurt, but that's why you have James Conner. You have another strong running back to take the spot. So this team definitely could need some help on defense, all things considered. But they're still a strong team. They're still going to be competitive. This is a team that really could be the best Cardinals team of all time. Well, of the Super Bowl era, I should say. So we'll have to see. The Rams have been trending in the wrong direction. You hate to say it, but it's the truth. Odell has been a decent addition, but as it worked out, they got Odell, and then a couple days later, Robert Woods tore his ACL. So Odell went from being a luxury to a necessity, a starter. I'm not exactly excited about that, but Cooper Kupp is still one of the better receivers in the game. He continues to excel. He's just proving that this is his year. He had an off game in Week 12, but he still played well. Matthew Stafford has kind of declined a little bit from the start of the year, but that was always to be expected. So we'll have to see. The defense, they still need to gel a little bit. This is what happens when you try to build a super team in the NFL. Your defense always struggles. It's hard to build a super team, but we'll have to see. They could still make a run. San Francisco, this is a team that's another tough one to figure out. I don't know what's going on with them. They have so many quarterbacks. They have so many running backs. Trey Sermon hasn't really seen the field all that much, despite the fact that he was literally considered one of the better running backs. He was a sleeper to pick up in fantasy. Hasn't worked out. Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo is currently the starter. Trey Lance could be when he comes back from injury. We don't know what's going on with that. The receiving core, there's so many different names there too. Brandon Ayuk went from being a star to a non-factor to being at least decent. It's so tough to figure out these 49ers. On the defensive side of the ball, they're at least decent, though. So we'll have to see. I don't see them as a team that can make a big run, though, all things considered. Seattle, first things first. Why did you try to go for it on... that 2-point conversion play that they did, I should say, was bad. It was bad. It wasn't a good call. It didn't work. Seattle, Russell Wilson, he could be gone after this year. Is this really the team that you want to send him off with? At least DK Metcalf is doing okay. He's really been trending in the wrong direction. At least Tyler Lockett's consistent. There's that. But Chris Carson's done for the year. So that's not good. And the defense, don't get me started. Lastly, we have the NFC East. Dallas currently the only team above 500 in this division, sitting at 7-4. Washington sits behind them. Philly a half game behind them. New York a half game behind them. So this is a tough division to figure out. Dallas, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have no idea which Dallas Cowboys we're going to get. Dak Prescott has looked great, but not good. I mean, they just lost a tough game to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. Granted, they were without Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb. So now it appears that Ezekiel Elliott's hurt. Never good. That's why you got Tony Pollard. I don't know what's going on. They have a quick turnaround because they're playing on Thursday. We'll see if any of these guys play. It sounds like Jerry Jones thinks Elliott's going to be playing, though. All things considered, he's going to, still shoulder a huge load of carries. But we'll have to see what happens with the Cowboys. The defense is definitely going to be their problem. I mean, they had that one player get 4 pass interferences against the Raiders. But those refs were flag happy, gotta say it. They called some bad calls. I mean, I won't forget that bad, it was a false start when the Cowboys were clearly offside, but it is what it is. In the end, Cowboys lost. That's all that matters. Washington, they're trending in the right direction despite losing Chase Young for the year. I wasn't really expecting Taylor Heineke to be leading this team, but the NFC East standings look like I thought they'd look right now, at least. Heineke's doing good. Terry McLaurin is definitely one of the more underrated receivers in the game. I'm going to keep saying that until he starts getting the credit he's due. So I think Washington's definitely in a very good position right now, though, to make a run, all things considered, with how Dallas and Philly have been playing recently. Yeah. And their defense is kind of turning it around. It stinks that they don't have Chase Young, though. Philadelphia, please don't get me started on this team. I'm going to keep this one brief. Jalen Hurts needs to throw the ball better. Jalen Hurts needs to figure out what he's doing. The Eagles need a pocket passer, or at least someone who can throw the ball and complete more than 56% of their passes. All right? You're done. Jalen Reagor, your time in Philly's done. I don't understand this guy. Give him a healthy scratch. Get rid of him. The running game, Jordan Howard was definitely missed, but Boston Scott did score the only touchdown of the game against the Giants. Boston Scott continues to be a Giants killer, but still, I don't know what to say about this team. They need a new quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not the answer that people thought he was, and I was not one of those people. New York Giants, big victory for you against the Eagles. I guess you avenged your Week 17 game where the Eagles essentially screwed you over. Thanks, Doug Peterson. But I'm still not there. I'm still somewhat of a believer in Daniel Jones, but there are still concerns with Daniel Jones, all things considered. I'm still not a huge fan of what he brings to the table. But Saquon, he's so tough to figure out. I mean, is he healthy? Is he not healthy? A healthy Saquon's among the best in the league, but he has not looked like a healthy Saquon, all things considered. It's a shame. It really is. So this is the last time we're going to have bye weeks. So we still have 8 teams that have to go on bye. So week 13, we will have the Packers, the Titans, the Browns, and the Panthers all going bye. Pretty big losses. Week 14, New England, Indianapolis, Miami, and Philly all going bye. These are the last of the bye weeks, fortunately for us. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. These are the NFL standings through Week 12. Have a good rest of your day.